Hey folks, I'm Craig Bielik, your host. I've been missing you. Have you been missing me? I hope you have.
I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they have too. Thank you, Ann. And I am joined today by my guest, Ann Park, who is an author on Junction City Today. We are going to talk about books and the art of writing and the craft of getting a book together and winning awards. And maybe we'll talk about other things like, I don't know, like the Rolling Stones or something. That's what we were talking about right before we came on air.
That's right. We can definitely do that if you want.
Which is not why you're tuning in. But you are tuning in to see local authors, of which Ann is one.
Thank you.
Ann, you live in North Ogden? Is that correct?
Pleasant View.
Pleasant View.
I'm like 25 feet from the border, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can call it either way if you want.
Right.
I mean, you could do that. But legally, you're in Pleasant View?
I'm in Pleasant View.
How long have you lived out there?
About 12 and a half years.
Uh-huh.
We've been really happy there. It was one of those neighborhoods that it was so much easier to move into than it will be to move out of, and hopefully we never have to do that.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, you're doing very well with your book, and who knows what's going to happen.
Might have to move to LA.
You might get that big estate in Canada or something like that.
Well, I'll keep you posted.
Comes about. So, Ann, how long have you been writing?
I had decided that I really wanted to be an author in about the 5th grade.
Okay.
So quite
4
a
years.
while. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's been just a little longer than that. We won't say how long exactly.
Yeah.
But it's something I've really wanted to do for my entire life, and I have always had a love for it, and I've always been working on it. And in the meantime, we've had jobs and kids and everything. Life has gone on its merry way, and but I've still kept writing in the background. And a couple of years ago, I was able to publish my book. I was kind of between jobs, which was a blessing because I just couldn't quite get it done having a job at the same time. And so I thought, you know what? It's if not now, then when?
Right.
It's time to do it.
Right.
So I took the plunge.
So you did that. And are we talking about this book right here?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my first book.
This is the book that is right behind us.
Yes.
And it is called War's Ending, right?
Yes.
And you published this when?
It's been almost 2 years. In May, it'll be 2 years. It's gone by really fast.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. And how long did it take you to write it?
I'm not sure I really want to answer that in front of everyone because
just say it was a process. That's
it was a long time. As an author, you learn and grow, and you do like a new version, and then you learn a bunch of things with that, and then you have to go back and learn again. And so it did take a long time because I was going through the process of learning how to write a book and how to finish it and how to get it ready for publication.
It's a thick book too. I mean, I don't know what that is, 200 or so pages, something like that?
It's about 117,000 words. No, maybe it was like 121,000. I have a lot of words.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, looking at it. I was going to say, that's about 117,000 words right there.
I knew you were thinking that.
Yeah.
I think what you're really thinking is, that girl talks a lot.
No, we like people that talk a lot. That's why we have the show. One interesting thing about it, though, is this gold foil sticker on there. Now, if you know anything about books, if it's got a gold foil sticker on it, that means that it has won an award.
Exactly.
So this won an award, and you also have these little medals and things right here.
I know.
What is this award?
I don't try to wear these, out around town. You would?
Oh, if I had awards like that. When I win an award for this series of television that we're doing, ignore the obvious joke there, folks. But when I do, I'm going to wear it around my neck all the time.
Not if, but when.
Yeah. So you did win an award for this book.
I did. And I know we're in Utah, but this is the Florida Authors and Publishers Association President's Book Awards for 2020. Yeah. I know that's a mouthful, but there you go. So I was able to win the gold medal for young adult fantasy. Okay. And then I actually placed in a second category, which was grown-up fantasy or adult fantasy. I got a bronze medal. So I was really honored and really thrilled to win those. It just, it's like it validates all the late nights and early mornings that you spent poring over your manuscript and trying to get it right and just going over it again and again. So I was really thrilled to win that.
Well, briefly, tell me, I don't want to give away the plot of your book, but we need to do two things. First off, do you have a website?
Yes.
Okay, and the website is?
It's ajparkwriting.com.
A.J. Park Writing.
I just used my initials. I know my name is Ann, but I used my initials on the
A.J.
book.
Park Writing. The other thing is, before we get too much farther, tell people how they can get their hands on this book. I mean, I'm sure after they watch this, they're going to want to get a copy. So how can they do that?
That is very easy. You just go to Amazon and look it up. The cover's pretty distinctive. You'll be able to find it. You can get an ebook or a paperback book. If you live here in Ogden, you can go and visit Christine at Wasatch Pharmacy Care.
Right.
She has a few copies on her shelves. She's a wonderful person and she's a great support to the local arts and culture in the city. And so she has a few copies on her shelves if you want to just pick one up right away.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, you don't want to wait, right?
No, you got to find out what happens.
You got to get right to it. So briefly, give me the plot of this book.
Okay, so my goal here, I wanted to tell a story about two fictitious cultures that had become stuck in a conflict. And so the girl on the cover, she goes to visit this new land that's part of her kingdom, and she discovers that there's a conflict going on that she had no idea about. And she quickly is in the thick of it. She gets injured. She ends up stuck with the other side, the enemies, who she's been told are really terrible savages, and that she doesn't know what they're going to do. But what she does is try and go in and find a way to resolve it. She starts to realize that the other side is, not such terrible people, and that she tries to go in and fix it. But
this is a book about me coming home when my wife and daughter are arguing.
Yes, exactly.
It's like me coming upon their fight.
The stakes are high, and you feel impressed to just go in and try to fix things.
Exactly.
And that's what she does, but the downside is that then she ends up with people from both sides who had an interest in keeping the conflict going that try to kill her from both sides. So she ends up in a really difficult position.
Wow. Yeah.
Due to the circumstances of what's going on. So we don't want to tell you everything that
is this set in the past, in the future, or just in a whole different world?
It's set in a whole different world.
Okay.
So that's what we love about fantasy, is just the fact that it's someplace new and creative, and it's just meant to be a fictitious place.
Sure. But like all good fantasy, this sounds like it's got a connection to what is going on in our world right now. Is that correct?
Well, I came up with a connection after I published the book. Yeah. So who would have thought a couple of years ago that we'd all have to walk around wearing masks all the time, and that would be normal for us?
Yeah.
But before COVID and before all that happened, I had the idea of, well, what if there was a culture who it was very normal for them to wear a mask all the time, and that it was part of their culture that they wouldn't allow anyone outside the group to see their faces? Wow. And what kind of misconceptions would you make about a people that did that? Or what kind of assumptions would you make about the kind of people that they were, or what they were doing based on them hiding their faces?
That's interesting. I was in a meeting a little while ago. I work for a hospital.
Right.
And I said, all of a sudden, I realized that I had never seen any of the people in the meeting who I had been working with for 7 months without a mask. I had never seen them. And so we all pulled our masks. And it's so funny because you see everybody from here up, all right, and you decide what they look like in your mind, and then they pull the mask off, and that isn't it.
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
There you go. I love it.
But you wrote that way before any of this happened.
I did, and it had nothing to do with COVID or anticipating that at all, but just the fact that it was their culture to hide their face, and that showing their face was an act of intimacy to them, or an act of connection or belonging. And so I thought that would be a fun concept to develop into a story. Yeah. So that's a big part of the book and what's going on in the book.
That's cool. The award-winning book.
Oh, yes, thank you. The award-winning book.
The award-winning book. We always need to point that out. How is it doing? I mean, as far as sales go, are you doing all right?
So I'm doing all right. I would love to be doing better. There's a couple of things that I have felt like I'm swimming upstream a little bit, in that I have a really firm commitment. And one of the things we were talking about is pet peeves in books. And everybody has pet peeves in books, Well, and one of the things that really gets to me is if I start reading a book and I'm into it, I love the characters, and then all of a sudden it starts to get darker and darker and darker, or more and more and more shocking, or there's inappropriate scenes in it, or language that I don't want my kids to read. And so
that's a heck of a surprise when you're reading a nice book and all of a sudden comes chapter 9 or something like that, which is very different than the rest.
So I feel that that's a big part of who I am as a writer, that I'm committed to not have stuff that you wouldn't want your kids to read. I mean, not that there's not action or that there's not fight scenes or that nobody dies in the book. I don't want to tell you who, but you know, that would be a mistake.
Don't give away that book.
Don't give away that.
Read the book, folks.
But I feel like it's important to have content that's appropriate, especially in a market where it's really geared towards young people. And so sometimes the market, I feel, is pushing us in the other direction towards stuff that's more and more shocking or more dark or more and more, you know, just content that's really in your face and not necessarily what you want your kids to be reading.
Sure. You're going to feel good when you finish this book, is what you're saying, right?
That is the plan, because I really like books that are positive. I feel like there's a lot of famous young adult series that you get to the end and you're just frustrated, or you're upset that you read the whole thing, or you felt like the characters who you've been rooting for 3 books didn't really accomplish anything useful. And so I didn't want to. I wanted to be a voice of positivity in the genre.
That's nice. You got to be working on something new, right? I mean, is there something back there in your head?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Always.
A sequel, or is it something completely different?
So I am working on a sequel, but I hate to tell everyone this, it's not done yet. We'll have to circle back to that one. But what I have is another standalone book. And that's one other thing that's kind of hard in fantasy, is sometimes you pick up a book and you really want to read it and you realize it's the 5th book in the whatever series.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, well, where's the other 4? I can't find the first book.
Right.
And I don't know, things never come to me in order. I need to find the first book first.
Well, you can do the Star Wars thing. Remember the first Star Wars movie was like part 7 or whatever of the story?
It's true.
Star Wars fans, please, if I got that wrong, please do not call me and yell at me,
I think they're going to be hunting you down, because didn't we start with 4?
It was part 4. That's what it was.
There you
part
go.
4. Bill, our producer, just held up a 4, which meant part 4.
Don't hunt him down. He knows.
I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, yeah, well, what do you know about the Rolling Stones? Okay, we were just talking about that, so let's test your knowledge.
That's right. We should do that.
This is a joy. I mean, I'm very
really
happy
fun
for you, Anne.
I'm excited to be here on your show. I mean, you're one of the 3 most popular people in Ogden, I think.
Oh, my heavens, really? Who are the other 2?
The 3 most famous people.
I'm going to take them out. Is it Farrell?
Maybe Oprah. Is it Oprah?
Oprah. Yeah, I'm more popular than Oprah. Thank you.
No, you're close second. Like there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Aren't you sweet? So again, your website. Let's go over that one more time, where you can get this book. This is the book right here. By the way, War's Ending by A.J. Park. That's Anne. What does J stand for?
That's actually my maiden name. It stands for Jensen.
Okay, great.
I
was hoping you were going to say it's a secret.
Maybe I should have said that, right?
Something like that. This is the book right here. It's an award-winning book, and it is appropriate for your teens, your preteens, the folks who want to read it, and make sure that you don't run across those nasty little surprises in the middle of the book or something like that. And you can get it at her website, on Amazon, Wasatch Pharmacy here in Ogden, or I don't know, call Ann up on the phone and say, hey, I want to get a copy of it.
I do have a stack of books in my house. So
do you like writing?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than just being involved in a really good story. And I think that's a really important part of how we communicate with each other as human beings, and how we interpret the world around us. I think stories make a huge part of that.
Oh my gosh. I just realized that as the 3rd most famous person in Ogden, I've now found the person to write my biography.
There we go.
Now that'll be a story.
We'll have to take some notes when we're done.
On Wednesday, he had salami. It's going to be fascinating,
but it
wasn't
just any salami.
Let's
tell you more.
It was, let's tell you more. And this is a pleasure. And we will instantly have you back when your other book is ready.
That would be wonderful. I'd love to share it. We're still mulling over the title. We were talking about that before we started. I had a title picked out for years, and I neglected to check and see if anyone else had already used it. And they had, so I've been thinking. I'm still working
Well,
it
at this late in the game, it's probably hard to come up with a title for something that hasn't been used. You know what I mean?
True.
But I can suggest some if you'd like.
Okay, what are you thinking?
How about From Heck to Breakfast?
Ooh, it has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? It has like a rock and roll type of a
You
a
better
vibe.
believe it does. My guest today has been Ann J. Park. She's an author. War's Ending is one of her books. She's got another one coming out. Find it on Amazon. Thank you for watching Junction City today, Ann. Just an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
just a pleasure.
Thanks, Craig. It's always fun to hang out with you.
One of the 3 most famous people in Ogden. I don't
That's
know who the other
right.
2 are, but I'm coming after you.
That's
And we
right.
will see you all next time
That's right.
on Junction City today.